Yep. They still operate. Let's go. You go. Oh, you're not gonna click for me? If you want to,
Actually,
yeah, good. Let's start. We're gonna start. I'll give a little preface to this thing. Is I think everybody here, or most of y'all know what I do for a living. Obviously, I fight fires for a living, or I think I used to. So there's just a magic thing that goes between being a fireman and fire apparatus. Obviously, we get to ride around in big shiny trucks. So, when you're modeling, you're building your layout, whatever, we'll get into that. There's still that magic that goes between, the fire truck and the individual. Because, I mean, every one of you, when you hear the fire truck go down the road, what do? You look, because it's there's kind of a tie between railroading and the fire truck. Actually, firemen. How many of you, there were everybody, we call ourselves firemen, but it's not because we're putting the fires out. The original firemen were the guys who fired the steamers. That was an actual job. That was the firemen. Everybody else were firefighters. But you had, the chief engineer, who is just like the engineer on the steam engine, and a fireman. You had those two people, which generally they were the first two paid people on any given fire department that ever went paid. Was your chief engineer and your fireman.
everybody else was volunteer.
Yep. Because those were the guys that took care of the steamer, which I actually have a model of a steamer here, so we can pass that booger around. And so go ahead, Matt, if you would please. Yep, basically. All right, just as it says here, if you've ever built a model railroad, almost undoubtedly you're going to have a small town, which will have, you got a need for fire protection there, so it gives you a reason to build a firehouse. Make it look real. We can do a lot of bad things. We can do a lot of good things. That one there is pretty real. Yeah. Yeah, that's my baby. So the firehouse in your town can be the focal point and help add realism to your layout, providing you take the time to place the proper air and scale fire truck with it. Out of scale and toy fire trucks, which there's a lot of them out there, can detract from what you're doing. As I say, luckily enough, there are numerous quality models in almost every scale. I haven't really found one that doesn't have, fire apparatus in it scale wise. Although there are some in each scale, oddly enough, the most highly detailed and biggest variety are O scale trucks. This is mainly due to the collector's side of, the hobby and not model railroading. Yep. Boy-like trucks. This truck is actually setting up here on the table. It's a matchbox truck. I got a slide in here. I'll show you. It gives a comparison of the scale of the truck versus, the differences in the other trucks. So go ahead and click, Matt.
Reputation. Are the match scale trucks supposed to 187 scale?
Somewhat, but not really. I can't even read what it says there, but I can tell you, toy-like trucks, because they do have very bulky details, because they're cast metal, and their details can be out of scale. Go ahead, Matt. This truck actually is a true HO scale truck. This was actually an older AHM truck that they threw out, you know, hundreds of thousands of these things, and that it just, they're still, the details are still built bulky, and they still have a toy-like appearance. Same truck, actually the truck's sitting here on the table. Same model, it's not the same truck, but just had a few touches done to it. Changed the wheels. I mean, you can kind of tell the difference in them. It looks better. This one is an Atherin, ready to run model. They did several different trucks in the last number of years. They've actually done real good work in getting the details right. Obviously, you can see the things. This truck also sitting on the table. Hose beds, hose lays, generator, other apparatus devices on it.
Question.
Yes.
On that one, the brown, was that an actual color?
Well, actually, it's orange.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's actually sitting there on the thing. Yeah, so good. Like I said, comparison in the trucks. The white truck is the one on the table. It's the one I said toy-like. Definitely out of scale. The center one is the one that, like I said, it's still a little toy-like, bulky details, needs some painting. Needs some paint work done on it, and it'll help it come out. The one on the right is actually a model that I built some years ago, probably about 30 years ago now. It was Lee Town at the time. Now it's Alloy Swarms. They actually have some fairly nice HO scale metal kits. Need a little bit of fitting work on them when you build them, and that was the first one I built of that model truck, and I used that because actually that's all the same model truck. It's a CF model Mac. So, you know, it gives a good comparison of what we can do. Yes, Mike.
They all need a driver.
Yeah. Not most of the time. Yeah, right. The great thing with modifier apparatus is you can fill any era. From, like I said, we just passed around the, I think somebody actually makes a hand pump, which was the very earliest of the firefighting apparatus was the old hand pump. So I think somebody actually makes one, and you can get them clear up into as you can see here, I got some on the table, some of the most modern of fire apparatus. So you can model, whatever era you're modeling, you can find a truck for, even Briggs. Yeah. Like I said, there's an early steamer. And we just kind of bop through these real quick. 1920s, 30s, 40s, your 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, you can see how the trucks are changing, and you know, they're getting bigger. 80s, 90s on up into the 2000s, the 2010s, even into the 2020, you know, the 2020s. That truck there is a 2021. Obviously, engine 9 from here in Columbus. So actually, if you go back one, Matt, that truck right there, I got to go a little side on this truck. You guys see the murals on that truck? Okay, Miami-Dade County. Their fleet is silver over green, excepting engine number 3. That is their fire chief. When they bought that truck is an early, thinking that's like a 2011 or something, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit newer. When they bought that truck, they decided they wanted to do, the chief down there decided they wanted to do a tribute to New York and all the guys that died. If you actually look, you can't read them on the truck because it's so small. And I've actually got this model. It's displayed at the firehouse down on Green Lawn. The name of every firefighter that died at the World Trade Center is in that black stripe.
Side note, have you guys ever been out to Mott's Military Museum? Because they have a fire truck.
That was from Trade Center.
From New York on display out. It was the one.
Yes, a crushed one. Ladder 110, maybe?
It smashed down a little bit.
Yeah, it's missing the cab and all because it got destroyed. So, yeah, next one, Matt. As you know, like I said, scales, I mean, there's Z scaling up. Arrows, you know, all over the place. Some of them you might find a little bit hard, but they're becoming more and more readily available, just because this is becoming a hobby of its own. Scale fire truck modeling. So, go ahead. Just as I said, you know, scale truck, you know, that's becoming is really catching on around the world. Some of the things that are going on in the hobby are making it easier to be able to do this. Types of models, whether you want to do ready to run, I've got a whole bunch of different kits up here. Some of the older good ones, I can pass this around for you, were metal kits. Yeah, that truck, I've had that truck for, I bet 20 years, that kit, and I've never got around to building it. But, you know, construction materials, they can be, you know, plastic, resin, some of the wood for some of the older models, and the, you know, soft metals. So then we, like I said, we do have ready to run models. You know, this is a good start for a lot of things, depending on your era. Walther's Steam Master, which were the old Bowley trucks. Walther's bought all those out.
It's great. I see the price on boxes. Is that part of the copy that people keep in their original boxes for lecture purposes?
Yes, yes. Like this one here that I'll pass it around. Another Athearn ready to run. The reason I never took that one out of the box is that one there is actually the actual model that the actual truck that the model was done after was Gardner, Illinois. So I've got two of them. I got one that's laying on the layout somewhere, and then that one. Once again, this Walther / Bowley pumper. This is a Athearn. It's a Ford KME, which is this truck here, and I think, yeah, it's this truck. So we can gently pass over around too. This truck was actually designed off a Riverside County, California truck. So there's an actual prototype for the truck. So it's good model. Yes, KME, Ford built the chassis. KME, which Kovacs Mobile Equipment, they're the ones that built the. I don't have. That's another Ward LaFrance kit. I do have a resin kit from the same manufacturer. You guys will notice there's a lot of Max CFs up here. I kind of hold them and kind of dear in my heart. First fire truck I ever got to ride on was a Max CF, and I love them. Like I said, there's the Alloy Forms truck that I built years ago, or Lee Town. Kit bashing. You can obviously use your imagination. The truck in the center is a combination of the trucks that you see behind them. So all I did was I just separated the bodies, separated the chassis, and then slammed them into the truck in the center. I wanted a telesquirt that had a canopy cab. It just so happens that the model that Athearn does is it's just a standard 2-man cab. Well, like I said, I wanted the canopy cab. Pretty easy. Probably somewhere about 90 seconds it took me to do that. So, okay.
Right.
Yes.
Looking at the different colors, is there a significance in terms of era to the color selection?
Not necessarily. I mean, as far as like the green there, we really didn't start seeing that until like the late 60s, early 70s, and it was kind of a safety type thing. Before that, pretty much everything was. Now I can tell you, you go to Pennsylvania and the palette is your imagination. When I actually sold fire apparatus for about 20 years. The guy that I worked with, the company, I think we went a year and didn't sell a red truck. Oh yes, we sold a blue one. That's still, my God, we sold one to a North Huntingdon Township outside of Pittsburgh, east of Pittsburgh. Trophy blue was the color. That was their color. Everything they had in the firehouse was this trophy blue. And the guys, when they were buying a truck back in the early 90s, maybe late 80s, and they were thinking, they were looking for something different. And one of the guys looked across the room in there, because the guy that sold the truck was the same guy that sold him that truck. He was my boss. They looked at a trophy that they had got somewhere at some parade. They said, "Can we get that color?" That's how they wound up being that blue. Like I said, we've sold purple trucks, we've sold white trucks, like I said, red, green. Sold a couple trucks over there that were Kelly green and white.
Greg, is there any indications from the science community of any color that really does better than anything else?
There's been arguments about it for years, but the big thing is you know what? The lights and the noisemaker are what's going to make this vehicle the most visible. Huh? Well, no, that's another thing. Like Dick just brought up about most of it's chrome. The big thing now with all the younger guys is they want to do blackout trucks. So now instead of having polished aluminum wheels and polished diamond plate on the trucks and this, everything gets painted black. So there's no chrome on them. Exactly. That's what I tell them. Matter of fact, when we bought the new truck down in Glenford a couple years ago, the kids wanted to do that, and I'm like, no. Of course, the big three down there, me, the assistant chief, and the chief, were like, ain't no way. I'm like, you guys are not going to get out of polishing that fire truck. It ain't happening. Well, if most of them anymore just want to sit in front of the TV and, no, you're going to go out there and polish that fire truck. It's a point of pride. It's not, they look at it, they look at it as, oh, punishment, or they're just making us work or whatever. But it's actually a point of pride. You want your vehicle to look good. Don't want it to look like the trucks on Chicago Fire. How many ever watch that TV show?
What's wrong with it?
They're always dirty. Those trucks are always dirty. Yeah, well, okay, I've seen fire trucks with bullet holes in them that still look good because they clipped and cleaned and polished them. But yeah, those trucks are always dirty. It just drives me nuts. Okay. Fire stations, likewise. We got different, this is a 3D printed station I just found online. There's some guys on eBay that are selling nice 3D printed stations. I mean, it doesn't look too awful bad. Walther's fire station kits, there's several. They're really nice. Obviously, you can detail the insides and do what you want to do, or you can just set it there with fire trucks in the doors. If you want to do a fire scene, there's still plenty of details out there. Some of the metal detail companies and stuff. Even some things that you might not think about being a fire apparatus detail: shovels, rakes, things like that. That's stuff that we do carry on our truck. So you can, you can hang it on a truck and make it look good. As it says, here's closing, as you can see, you can go a lot of places with this, do a lot of things. So, questions? Oh,
That's from the 3D printed truck.
yes. Like I said, I did get some, I just got this in the mail yesterday, so. Like I said, that's a 3D printed truck. Obviously, you can see it's a Mac. That wasn't, it was like 39 or 40 bucks. It was less, it was actually less than the resin kit. So I'm going to kind of be interested to see how that truck, it looks like it's going to go together fairly easy. That's 187th. Yes. That's a tower ladder. I mean, they are big trucks.
Where did, in the history, who decided the color?
I would like to tell you that, but I really don't know why they picked the color red.
To represent a fire.
There's always kind of been the traditional thought process. That's why a lot of the early trucks were red. And the other thing is too, you got to remember back in, when motorized apparatus was beginning to come about. We were leaving the horse-drawn era, and likewise with the automobiles. Well, what color did Henry Ford paint his cars? So you took and painted your fire trucks red to stand out. Because they really didn't have a lot of lighting back in those days. Most of them were equipped with just a bell or an old mechanical siren. So yeah, they did it, basically to stand out.
Maybe it's cheap paint. Good job. Don't
Oh,
Kind of like have the lifespan